Let's talk about the business cases. Business cases are really important because they allow you to compare tactics and strategies across channels. Oftentimes, we're approached by an agency and that they say, this is a great tactic, go out and try this. Well, how do you know what the impact is? How do you know if that is going to net you for the dollars you're investing, what you are looking for in terms of value back? You really don't unless you have the business cases that allow you to do that comparison in a predictive fashion. I know that my agency provides me with business cases that allow me to make confident decisions about what I'm going to invest against each patient target, and I know predictively what my return will be. So they'll help establish what the vision of success is, and they'll right-size the investment. And it's not just about return on investment. And while return on investment is important, it's important also to know what you can afford to spend and what you can expect to get for a return. We all have a lot of tactics. Certainly, we're doing a lot of digital things. I've just put a couple up there. But we have lots of ways that we can engage with customers. And it's important to have the business intelligence and data that allows you to feed back into your campaign management system and your reporting structure to know what the value of each of those tactics are. And there are push strategies and there are pull strategies. But what's the ultimate goal of the majority of these strategies? It is to get people onto your database, to acquire that lead. And when you acquire that lead, it gives you the ability to have a one-on-one conversation with that patient. So as you're developing your acquisition plan, it is important to make sure that you start with what is the level of awareness I want to achieve? And what's the level of awareness that's necessary so that I can acquire individuals to my database? And ideally, you want to have a target number in mind. What's the number of people I need to get on my database in order to move the needle? But as you're looking at your acquisition strategy, it can be very challenging because you have some tactics that are high volume, probably lower value, but lower cost from an awareness perspective, or you can have high value, low volume, but these are the individuals that are pretty high cost. So it's a balancing act. Your relationship marketing company needs to work with you to establish what's the right mix that allows you to achieve the strategic objectives that you've set. And it is important to make sure when you get to the execution stage and the engagement stage that each of your communications is, and I'm not telling anybody anything you don't already know, but that they're relevant, they're informative, they provide value, that they're consumer friendly, health literate. Those are all very critical. And when we talk about our online learning community, I think you'll see that understanding the language of your patients and having those patient insights is what really makes the magic of relationship marketing happen. And of course, my legal and regulatory team would never let me get out of here without saying that you have to comply with the rules and regulations for permission-based marketing. So that's a given. And probably the most overlooked aspect of relationship marketing that I see over and over again is the lack of an assessment plan. And an assessment plan isn't just a one-time scorecard where you measure it and you say, I achieved my objective, great. I can get promoted to the next level and move into a different job. No, it's really about an assessment plan that is an ongoing relationship with your patients. And as you're assessing, you're tweaking and you're optimizing so that you can continue to improve that relationship. And it's based on all of your knowledge, everything that you have garnered from a business intelligence perspective, and also understanding response to each of your communications, the behavior intent of your patients as a result of each of your touch points, and iteratively optimizing. So I have a challenge for each and every one of you. Are you listening to your patients? I bet you are in some form or fashion. And most commonly, we use qualitative research, we use quantitative research. And how many of you are doing buzz monitoring of some form or fashion? I hope all of you. Ooh, not so many hands. Well, buzz monitoring, of course, is very important. But I want to take it a step further, because in relationship marketing, it's not just about listening. What's missing is patient engagement, understanding patients over time. So UCB has created an online learning laboratory. I use that term loosely, but we're working with Choumitsky, and this is a company that allows us to engage with patients on an ongoing basis. We actually put activities out in front of these patients that enable us to understand patient insights, wants, and needs. They allow us to integrate those learnings with all of our engagement activities across our channels. And it allows us to test all the business intelligence. If you have all that infrastructure and you've done all that planning work up front, what better way to know if it's going to be effective or not, but to put it out in front of a group of patients? You will learn the key insights from these individuals. You will learn their language. You will learn, as I have learned, what motivates, resonates, and breaks through the clutter. But let me tell you, there's something that's really amazing that happens when you create this community. I'm going to read a quote to you from one of my patients. And when I saw this on the community, you could have blown me away with a feather. Because the patient actually said, "Thank you. There are no words to express my gratitude for having a place to go to reach out to others who are living with the same disease. While I don't wish this disease upon anyone, it brings me great comfort to communicate with others who know what I am going through. A support group such as this has been a long time in coming. Thank you for being here." Wow. When I said that it blew me away, it's because I thought I was the one getting the value out of the community. I didn't think about how important this was to our patients. So this provided a social platform for them to interact. And so we could listen over time, but we could also engage. We can engage in dialogue with these individuals, and they're benefiting as well. But I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, because it's not. It takes a little bit of work. Now, I will tell you that our agency partner, Choumitsky, has made it very easy for us. But there are some hurdles that you need to overcome. First, you need to work with all of your agency partners. You need to make sure that you have defined what it is you're trying to learn from your patients. And you need to prioritize those items. You need to involve, as Brian said earlier, your medical, regulatory, and legal teams early. You want them to be building the community with you, not putting up the roadblocks and hurdles so you can't build it. And you want to make sure your market research team blesses the methodology you're using for any activity that you put out in front of your community. You also want to make sure your pharmacovigilance team is involved early, because your pharmacovigilance team is going to want to make sure that you're reporting all the adverse events or anything else that needs to be reportable back to the FDA. And don't forget to take the learnings and use them. Get them out to your agency partners quickly. Get them out to all of your internal stakeholders, because they will continuously come to you and say, "Tell me more about this. Can you ask an additional question of your community?" This is a way to truly engage with patients in an ongoing, iterative fashion.